Hello, this is the Project Spurs vidcast over the San Antonio Spurs' 186th victory over the Utah Jazz Friday evening in Utah. My name is Paul Garcia of ProjectSpurs.com. Please be sure to check out ProjectSpurs.com. Follow us on Twitter at Project Spurs and my account at Paul Garcia PS. So before the game Friday, on a Friday morning, I had asked you all, the Twitter followers, who you thought would win the game between the Spurs and the Jazz. Las Vegas had the Spurs winning by 4, thought it would be a close game. And congratulations to the 77% of those of you that voted for the Spurs to win by more than 4 points, because that was actually the outcome, as they won by 14 points Friday evening. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into some of the numbers. Offensively, the Spurs put up 100 points on the scoreboard. They shot 45% from the field. Wasn't the best of shooting nights. 3-pointers didn't go in quite as much as they would have liked. Outside of Patty Mills, he was mainly one of their main 3-point shooters. They only made 6 as a team for 30% shooting from 3. Big key though was the free throws. Kawhi Leonard got to the free throw line 10 times. LaMarcus Aldridge got there 6 times. So those two guys combined get you 16 free throws. So the Spurs did make 20 total free throws overall. Passing to assist numbers were pretty low. 17 assists and 37 made field goals. Again, 45% shooting. They were still moving the ball, but the Spurs did a better job of seeing where they had mismatches and then going right at those mismatches, rather than the drive and kick action or the passing off screen and stuff. So they only assisted on 46% of their made field goals, which is actually kind of low for them. San Antonio did take care of the ball with just 11 turnovers for 13 Utah points. So they did a really good job of ball security. And then the bench, they didn't have a great scoring night, because if you think about it, they were shorthanded. Tony Parker did not play in the game. He's going to be out for about a week or so, Coach Pop said before the game. So Patty Mills got the start, so there was one of the weapons from the bench. And Pop also played a very short rotation until the fourth quarter, so the bench didn't get a lot of minutes, which means their points. But they did a good job of kind of matching with Utah, keeping their bench pace as well with points. Let's go through some of the players. Kawhi Leonard finishes at 29 points on 18 shots with 11 rebounds. He went 10 to 10 from the free throw line. He basically only played 31 minutes, but he only played 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. He also had 4 assists, so he was just basically the rock and the anchor for San Antonio, getting to the free throw line like I mentioned, hitting mid-range jumpers, hitting the 3, driving to the lane, getting and-ones. He was all over the place Friday, and he did it efficiently. Like I said, it pretty much was just 3 quarters, so he should be fresh to play on Saturdays back-to-back against the Los Angeles Clippers. LaMarcus Aldridge helped out Kawhi with 19 points. He also, on 13 shots, he grabbed 6 rebounds, and he too got to the free throw line 6 times, as mentioned earlier. He only had to play in 4 minutes of the fourth quarter, so LaMarcus had a good night. Matched up with Rudy Gobert a few times. Also had Trey Lyles, Derek Favors on him, and then he was really smart about whenever he had a guard switch onto him or a smaller wing, he would immediately attack the post to try to score on them. And he also was big on the glass. Patty Mills, he started for Parker like we mentioned, and he finishes with 16 points on 11 shots. Very efficient night for Patty, 3 assists. He really gives, it's offensively, he gives the Spurs something that unfortunately Tony Parker can't give them, and that's shooting, and that's a burst of energy. Out of the fast break, he ran down with a block shot from a teammate. He runs down the court, hits a 3. There's a possession where one of the Spurs wings brings the ball down the floor really quickly, sees Patty wide open, kicks it to him for another 3. He can use drag screens to hit shots. Obviously, he struggles to finish in the lane, but he also showed some passing ability. He was setting up LaMarcus Aldridge with several pick and pop opportunities. So, the Spurs have never gone with a huge sample size of Patty at point guard, and now that Parker's getting a little bit older in his career, it's still tough to say that should be the decision. But it will be interesting to see. How would they look after about a good sample size of maybe 10 to 15 games of Patty at point guard starting? Because every time he starts, he's really efficient. But the counter argument is, well, he's too small. The elite point guards like Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, Kyrie Irving, Stephen Curry, these guys will take advantage of him. But now that was definitely the case a few years ago. But now that he's led Australia, he's in his prime. He's definitely in a contract year, as one of our guys, John Diaz, has mentioned. It would be interesting just to see what do the numbers say, what do the results say if he were to start a good 10 to 15 games at the point guard spot. So maybe that we'll get to see that, but Parker's only out for a week, so who knows. The Spurs also were really good on the offensive glass, 9 offensive rebounds, and so they really took advantage of a second chance points. They outscored Utah 20-7 in second chance points. And so just some final stats before we switch from the offense. In now 5 of their 6 games, the Spurs have built a double-digit lead. They led by 19, was their highest lead tonight against the Jazz. So the Spurs are kind of doing what they were doing last season early on, which is building those double-digit leads and keeping them throughout the game. Another stat, in 4 of 6 games now, the Spurs have built a 15-point lead. Again, the Spurs won 67 games last year. A big part of that was that they would build these 15 to like 25-point leads on a very consistent basis. I mean, their point margin was almost like over 13 last year, so it was really, really high for them. And if they're going to continue doing that, then they're going to be guaranteed at the top 3 seed, barring that they don't have any significant injuries. Through 6 games, they're now ranked 6th in offense at 109.5 points per 100 possessions. Switching over to defense, they did a better job of holding Utah to 38% shooting. On Tuesday when Utah beat San Antonio, Utah shot 50% from the floor. Something about Utah making threes right now. They were lights out in the AT&T Center with their three-pointers. I think they made 15 that night. Then they played against Dallas. And they made their threes. And then again, Spurs did a very good job defensively of switching, rotating, and trying to get at least a hand up in the face of the Utah shooters. But it really didn't matter because they still knocked down threes. They made 11 of their 26 threes, 42%, which would have been above league average. But it was enough, though, for San Antonio to get some separation that all the Jazz really had going for them were those threes. Utah got to the free throw line a little bit, so they made 15 free throws. On the boards, the Spurs actually won this rebounding battle tonight, 49-42. As we mentioned, Utah was only held to 9 offensive rebounds, which isn't too high. And then in transition, San Antonio made sure to get back and not allow any easy points, as they only allowed 4 transition points. As you look at Utah's shot chart or shot percentage of points, they really didn't use the mid-range at all. They scored total just 6 mid-range shots. The other day in San Antonio, Shelvin Mack was hitting 2-point jumpers. Rodney Hood was hitting 2-point jumpers. Giorgio, Derek Favors. That was one big part, was that Utah was having a really, really good shooting night. And tonight they kind of regressed to the mean, where they didn't really take that mid-range shot or make them that much. So majority of their points did come from three-point land. Both teams didn't attack the rim as much, and you can see why. I mean, Gobert's in there for Utah, and then the Spurs have Dedmon a few times, and then Aldridge is down there to contest shots. Up next, the Spurs will have another back-to-back in San Antonio Saturday. They're going to host the Los Angeles Clippers, who are 4-1. It's going to be kind of an even match because the Clippers too are coming off a back-to-back, so it's not like they're going to come in rested. They played against Memphis and won Friday night, but their starters actually had to play further into the fourth quarter. They played about 6 minutes each in the fourth quarter, whereas San Antonio, the most their guys played was just about 2 to 4 minutes. So Spurs should be more rested. They had a bigger lead. The Clippers have had some notable wins early in their young season. They've beaten the Portland Trailblazers, the Jazz, and the Memphis Grizzlies. They have lost, though, to OKC. So that should be a good powerhouse matchup in the Western Conference. Those are definitely 2 teams you would not be surprised to see in a semifinals match or even a Western Conference Finals match if the Warriors don't turn out to be what we all think the Warriors could be. And then be sure to visit ProjectSpurs.com. We have some great content right now. John Diaz has a really good piece on the Bench Briefings, his series, where he's talking about Patty Mills' development, how he's taken his play from the Olympics and brought it to the Spurs as a unit on that second unit, and it's showing with the numbers that Patty's putting up. And then also to be sure to check out our most recent podcast, Spurscast, by Ryan and Jose. They had a way to get that new Spurs Nation book. There was a contest going on. It might still be applicable, so just go check that out. Give it a listen to the guys as they've been working hard. For ProjectSpurs.com, this is Paul Garcia signing out.